So this is the part that everybody has been waiting for, and this is learning how to do the materials. Before we get started, I want to remind you that you will not be needing to change materials on all items in your residence on the interior or the exterior. We will focus on certain aspects of your exterior and interior design. So that is where you will be focusing on material changes, colors, finishes, etc. So do not think that you have to change materials on everything in your project. This video is just going to show you how to do that for the areas that you will be focusing on in your renderings. If you have questions, let me know. So again, if I go to my 3D view, the first thing I want to do is I want to change this dirt to grass. So if I select it and I come over here, you'll see it says material by category. If I click into those three little dots and I type in grass, you'll see it has some plant and it has some site grass. These are already up in this area here. So say there's another one in here that makes some really nice grass, and it's called Hedge. So I'm going to type in Hedge. Notice that Hedge is down here and it's not up here. If yours is not, you don't see that down there, you need to click on this little box right here and it will bring that up. Do not ever try to use this from down here. If you use this from down here, your computer will crash on you. So what you want to do is either use the up arrow here to bring it up into here. You can double click on it and bring it up to there, or you can just grab it and drag it. So I'm going to go with Hedge. If you come over here to appearance, you're going to see what the image looks like. So you've got to be really careful when you're creating new images, which I'll show you how to do that here in a little bit, or new materials, that you keep these in the same folder as you're drawing, because otherwise it may lose this link here. So I'm going to say apply, and I'm going to say okay, and now you see I have lots of green grass. If I go to my site plan and I put this onto realistic, you see I have my nice green grass, and I don't have my roof on, so I'm seeing my floor finishes on the inside, I'm seeing my slabs on the outside. I can still see my lines for the rest of this. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use the tool called subregion. So if I come over here to subregion, and I'm going to make my driveway asphalt, and I'm going to make my sidewalk concrete. I'm going to draw a line from here to here, and I'm going to bring it all the way out to the edge of my site, and I'm going to come over to where it lines up here, and I'm going to connect it here. This has to be a completely enclosed object, and I'm going to click on the check mark. And now you'll see it changed to a different material because it's subdivided that out. So if I pick on that and I come over here and I type in asphalt, it gives me asphalt, roofing asphalt, or side asphalt. There's some others down here, like maybe I want asphalt pavement. So if I click on that, that will bring that up. So if I look at side asphalt, it kind of looks like that. If I look at asphalt pavement, it looks basically the same. So I'm just going to stick with the side asphalt, and I'm going to say apply, and I'm going to say okay. So now I have my asphalt driveway in there. The only thing I have left to do is my sidewalk. So I'm going to do that as another subregion. And this time I'm just going to trace those lines. And I'm going to click on the check mark, and again it made another subregion. If I select my subregion for my sidewalk and I come over here to the materials on it and I type in concrete, you'll see I have cast in place concrete, which is probably what this would be, or a lightweight cast in place. I'm going to say okay and okay, and it's just going to tell me it's not going to put a subsurface hatching on there, and that's fine. So now I have all of that. So if I go and I look at my 3D image, you see I have my driveway, my sidewalk, and my pad. By doing subregions, it stays with the slope of the topo, okay? In reality, it's probably not exactly how it's gonna work, but for our purposes, that works really, really well. So that's how you assign different materials. If you go to Manage and you go to Materials, you'll see all kinds of materials in here. So you can select from all of these different types of materials. You can add materials. We'll talk about that here in a minute. So say we decide that this asphalt's just a little bit too dark. If I go in here to the material and I come over here to Appearance, there are some different things I can do. One is if I go into the actual material itself, I can change how light or dark it is. So I can lighten it up or brighten it up a little bit, or I can take it back and make it really, really dark, or I can go somewhere in between here. So maybe I want it to be more like that color. And I say Done, and I say Apply, and I say OK. And right now it really doesn't look a whole lot different, but it is different, and when I render it, it will look different. One thing I did here is I should have took this in to here because I have grass showing. So I'm going to go edit that right now because we don't want grass in there. For right now, just to make it more simplistic, I'm going to do Edit Boundary, and I'm just going to take this boundary and I'm going to slide it inside. So now if I go back to my 3D view, I don't see grass. There are other ways to adjust the materials. I can also change colors. Sometimes it will let me do that. So right now this has a color of this one doesn't actually have an image associated with it. So if I wanted this to be a little bit different color, say pink, to make it a whole lot different color, say Apply, say OK. So now it's all pink. So again, it changed it anywhere that that material was. So you can do things like that, but it's probably better to create new materials. For this one, I'm going to go inside and do a camera view. So right now, if I put this on realistic, you'll see I have like just a basic sheetrock wall here. So if I want this wall to be a different color, I have another way that I can do that. I can go to Modify, I can go to Paint, and I can pick a color, or I can bring in my own color, whatever I want to do. So I'm going to pick this nice green color here, and then I'm going to select this wall, and you'll see now that it's green. That's actually a see-through green, so you can actually see through the wall. But again, I can paint materials onto different surfaces and such, which might be easier in some cases. Let's say I want to paint that wall a teal color. So I'm going to type in teal paint color, and I'm going to go to Images, and I'm going to find a color that I like. We're going to go with a light teal. So what I can do is I can right click on that, I can do Save Image As, and I want to save it wherever I have everything else saved. And I'm going to say Save. And then I'm going to go to my Manage tab, and I'm going to go to Materials, and I'm going to come down here and I have Create New Material. It says it's called Default. I'm going to rename that to Teal Paint. And then I'm going to go in here to Appearance, and right here where I have Image, if I click in there, it's going to let me go find that image that I just had. And it's going to bring that color in. So I'm going to save that. And now, again, I'm going to go back to my Modify, and I'm going to go to my Paint, and I'm going to find that teal color that I just added into there. Teal paint right there. And now I'm going to select this wall, and I'm going to make it a teal color. So you can bring in any color of paint or surface or whatever it is that you want to do. You can also create materials by duplicating. So say I want to duplicate this terrazzo. If I come down here and do duplicate selected material, and I can call it terrazzo 2. And then I can go in here and I can change this to something different. Let's see. Oops. A lot of times there are other items in here already. So like this is a masonry stone unfinished. If I come in here, you see I've got some other masonry stones. So say if I wanted it to be a cream travertine and say open, then it becomes that. And do apply and say okay and created a new material. That's really not the best way to do it. That can cause you some headaches sometimes because of the way they're set up. It will totally replace the one that you duplicated. It's best to create them from scratch. So let's say I want a brown brick pattern and I don't like what options we have in here. Again, if I go to images, what I want to look for are ones like this that are a straight on shot, that are very clear, they don't have shadowing on them. Like this one has different colors in it, this one has pieces missing off of it, make sure it doesn't have a watermark in it, things like that. So say if I wanted to use this brick right here, I can click on that, I can go to save image as, and I can put in brown brick and do save. So if I wanted to create a new material, I could go to materials, I could go to create new material, just like I did with the paint, rename it and call it brown brick, and then come in and go find that image that I just saved and bring it in and create the new material and say apply and say okay. So if I went back to my 3D view and say I wanted this wall here instead of to be the siding and stuff that it is, I could come in and do edit, and instead of doing wood shakes here, I can find my brown brick, say okay. I'm just going to change the one part of it, apply, and say okay. And now it added the brown brick onto there. Again, you've got to make sure you select good material quality, good photo quality. So it's very easy to create new materials and change material. As a precautionary note, sometimes the objects you bring in from Revit City and other sites, it's a little more difficult to change finishes. If you need help with something, just let me know. I would also like to note at this point, I do not want to see the standard brick color that comes in with Revit. When it renders, it's kind of a purplish color. I also do not want to see the standard wood finish that comes in on the windows because it comes in as a very orangish color. Again, if you need help with any of this, be sure to let me know. This concludes the video on materials. In the next video, we will actually get into how to set up the renderings.